We have some news right now. There are some within Maga that are literally threatening to bomb the United Nations over the fact that an escalator did not work for Donald Trump, and neither did the teleprompter he was using today. But we're now learning that according to the Associated Press, the reason the escalator didn't work was because one of Donald Trump's team members ran ahead of him and stopped the escalator. And the person or the group that was in charge of the teleprompter, well, that was the White House. That's according to an Associated Press report.
This is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it.
Does appear to be sabotage with the escalator and the teleprompter. What is the White House going to do about that?
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me. And that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the president of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the president's historic speech today.
One thing the Maga people are not about to stop is telling on themselves and really exposing themselves how they literally wear their emotions on their sleeves and how their party is really a party of violence. Apparently yesterday when Trump was going to speak at UN, his escalator was turned off and his people on Fox News started already ranting on how they wanted to BOMB the UN. Now, this happened in New York. I am dying, yo. But anyway, until when they discovered that actually whoever did stop the escalator was one of their own and they tampered with his teleprompter as well, he still blamed the UN. And still, it was the White House that was responsible. So, the United States of embarrassment, things keep getting worse. You know, this world stage, you know. Anyway, how are you all doing, my people? I hope that from wherever you all are watching this from, you're doing all right. Hopefully, God has protected you and preserved you very well. Thank you to all of you that support me on here. Big shout out to my members. You guys do me amazing. I can't help it. But you know, restrain myself from laughing. I want us to look at some of these reactions from the people and whatever that, you know, was thinking and talking about bombing the UN. We'll come back and talk about it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back.
What's going on with the escalator? What do you think?
Yeah, they sabotaged them.
Yeah.
And they could have hurt the first lady.
Yeah.
Trump would have fallen and he would have gotten back up. But, you know.
They would have blamed it on his rhetoric.
And then they sabotaged the teleprompter.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it. It is in New York, though, right?
Yeah,
There'll be some fallout there.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe gas it?
No.
That's not doing
Gas it, okay. But we need to destroy it. Maybe just, can we demolish the building?
We could turn it
Have
into-
everybody leave and then we'll demolish the building?
We could turn it into affordable housing.
Okay.
That's what you do, affordable housing.
No, I don't like that. I like nice sky rises, Dana, the expensive condominiums. You
Trying to
see
win an
the
election
East
here.
River from there. No, this is absolutely unacceptable, and I hope they get to the bottom of it, and I hope they really injure emotionally the people that did it.
Neither did the teleprompter he was using today. But we're now learning that according to the Associated Press, the reason the escalator didn't work was because one of Donald Trump's team members ran ahead of him and stopped the escalator. And the person or the group that was in charge of the teleprompter, well, that was the White House. That's according to an Associated Press reporter who reports on the United Nations. Literally, from Jesse Waters on Fox News to other MAGA Republicans on the internet, they were literally calling for possibly bombing the United Nations, whether in jest or seriously, over the fact that Donald Trump's escalator didn't work. The White House demanded a full investigation into whether or not someone intentionally stopped the escalator. And all we're now learning, come to find out, was the White House's responsibility to manage a teleprompter and they didn't do it, and a White House staffer was likely the reason the escalator stopped. Spread the word. Full breakdown of all the news you missed on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
Does appear to be sabotage with the escalator and the teleprompter. What is the White House going to do about that?
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me, and that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the President of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the President's historic speech today, noticed that the audio inside of the room was much lower and different for the President of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all of this together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me. And I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to trip up, literally trip up the President and the First Lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people. And I will personally see to it, Jesse.
Good.
An immediate, full-scale Secret Service investigation for a broken elevator and a teleprompter. Yet, this is where we are this year so far, compared to previous years. No, thoughts and prayers. No one bats an eye. This is not the time to talk about politics. God forbid if escalator breaks. Priorities are just mind-blowing.
It appears the UN has discovered who the culprit was that stopped the escalator at the UN right as Donald Trump had stepped foot on it. And it turns out to be Trump's own videographer. He apparently inadvertently set off a safety mechanism on the escalator that forced it to shut down and stop. He was traveling backwards up the escalator, trying to take a video of Trump and the First Lady going up and arriving to the UN, and he somehow triggered this safety mechanism. The UN went and looked at the central processing unit of the escalator, and it indicated that this mechanism had been triggered. This mechanism is designed to stop people or things from getting caught under the escalator and forced into the gears. Trump was furious about this happening, and the White House called for a thorough investigation and for whoever was responsible to be fired. And it turns out to be one of their own. And he was also extremely furious about the teleprompter not working properly and went on a tirade about that. And it turns out that that teleprompter was operated by the White House also. So another Trump staffer at fault. It appears there might be a few job openings at the White House. Let me know what you all think about this. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
I don't fucking like this. This is real life.
Donald Trump and Melania Trump were in New York City today at the United Nations, and he gave a speech which he ranted an hour of crazy. That's not what I'm talking about. On one of the escalators in the UN, somebody on staff turned off the escalator as soon as him and Melania Trump stood on the escalator. And Melania said, "Fuck this, I'm out of here," and left him and kept going up the escalator.
What happened with Chuck Schumer?
Are you going to push Zelensky for peace, President Trump?
President Trump, why did you cancel the meeting with Chuck Schumer?
I think it's hilarious that little microaggressions like this just give me so much joy, because this antichrist, anti-positive human that he is ruining the country. But little moments like this bring me joy. Little moments like this. Fuck you, Donnie Boy.
This week is the United Nations General Assembly, when all the world's leaders gather here in New York to advance humanity's noble quest to make my morning commute a goddamn nightmare. Now, this year is an especially fraught time, with crises all over the world. Gaza, Ukraine, accelerating climate change, AI, the uncontrolled spread of labubus, it goes on. Addressing these crises will require the full focus and attention of a mature leader. Luckily, that's exactly what President Trump is known for. So, this morning he arrived bright and early with the First Lady, striding onto the escalator for his trip to... Oh, okay. So all right. That's fine. Okay, so the escalator broke. Oh, okay. That's unfortunate. You never want a minor hiccup like that, but you know what? That's fine. A broken escalator just means extra steps on your Fitbit. Don't let it interfere with your speech, Mr. President. Start by reminding them all of all the good you've done.
In a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it.
Okay, good start, Mr. Trump. Not technically true about the 7 wars, but, you know, it was classy. We've got some good vibes going. Let's ride that wave to talk about issues of global importance.
I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle.
Okay. You're still thinking about the escalator, okay. That's okay, it's okay, I get it. Nothing's worse than a surprise flight of stairs, but don't forget, global stage. Let's move on.
If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood.
Okay, yeah. You made a joke out of it, broke the tension, point made. Now, let's get back to the global crises before you start spiraling out and remembering every bad thing that's ever happened to you in this building.
I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazza.
Okay, wow. Terrazza, I don't know what that is. Let's talk about Ukraine.
But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product.
Come on. I bet they regret that. If you could just skip forward to the part about Gaza, though.
They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazza. Do you notice that?
Okay. You're still mad about the escalator, aren't you? Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job.
Enough! You're just having a tantrum now. Your team is waiting off stage with a blankie and some apple juice. Just say the most diplomatic thing you can, and let's just get out of here. You know, something about how we're all in this together.
Your countries are going to hell.
Close enough.
Yeah, I think it might be time for us to talk about moving the UN out of the US.
You guys stop what you're doing, you're gonna want to hear this. Fox News host Jesse Waters just called for violence at the UN because he's calling what happened with the teleprompters and the escalators an insurrection on Donald Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump. I mean, so much for the party of peace, so much for the party of unity. And I'm not no law enforcement agent or law enforcement officer, but that seems like a threat against every single person in that building, against every single person who's visiting in that building. And it seems a little extreme and radical. Why is the radical right so violent over some mishaps of an escalator and a teleprompter technical difficulties, and you're wanting to go to that extreme because of it? And you know what? You're right. I think the First Lady could have gotten hurt had Donald Trump fell on top of her and crushed her, possibly, you know, making her extremely injured, giving her a life-threatening injury. That's kind of the only possibility I'm thinking of her getting injured, because the escalator's not working. The only thing they had to do was, I don't know, walk, use their legs. It's not that hard. It's just so disgusting, but it's not surprising. It's not shocking. This is exactly the behavior we expect from the far right. Follow along for more if you agree.
Is there a moment where they sit back and be like, now that it is one of our own, what are we going to do? I think it just goes to show you how sold out these people are to his ideology. You know, when he was at the Charlie Kirk memorial, whatever, remembrance, he said he hates his enemies. And I think it really is very obvious that the people that subscribe to him feed so much into his ideology as well. And it is so dangerous that there's no one to calm his emotions down, because even the ones that are following him, they are too emotional. That was not too serious. Yeah? And then on top, and I think people would be like, no, it is not as serious as people think it is. Well, it is. It is as serious as people think it is. And that's why people are literally embarrassed, because they are being embarrassed by this person. And I think right now, people on the world stage are starting to actually listen to the liberals, to the people that have been criticizing Trump, because this man literally quarrels about the smallest things. If it was not as big as some people right now would come out and say, oh, it's not as big as you people. This man went on the stage and he ranted about that same thing, the elevator and the teleprompter. He was given 15 minutes. He went for about 55 minutes. And you're telling me it's not as big? It is as big as, people think it is. And it is embarrassing. Do you know who else did not come to rant on that world stage? The president of France, Macron. He was literally stopped by the motorcade, like that whole entourage that follows Trump. Yeah, all the roads were blocked, and the president of France was supposed to use that same road. Dude went out of his car and walked, started taking, pictures with people, and even called Donald Trump. He's like, yeah, one thing I could not believe is all your cars are here and I cannot even do anything. Guess what? When he went to, to the world stage, he did bring that. That is called maturity. Trump himself, I think he wants to be treated like, the king of the world. Who is the United States? I don't know if these people still think it is back in the days when US used to spread propaganda about itself. Right now, all the skeletons are out and everyone sees the US for who it is. And even if this man still stands on the stage, US is the biggest country, is the strongest, is the most powerful, whatever, people be laughing in, when you see people putting their hands on here and you think, oh, they are trying to, suppress whatever, they be laughing under this because they can't believe that this is still something, some propaganda that he uses. He talked about how he, it's just a lot. But for me, it is how they literally talk about how the liberals, Democrats, the leftists are the violent ones. They are the extreme ones. But their people literally go on the media. They spread extreme propagandas and spread violence without being filtered until when they find out later that it is one of their own. Let's wait to see if the person that stopped the elevator, the escalator, if he was fired. And then they are talking about bombing, UN. It's in New York. That's where this whole conversation was happening. And embarrassing US at an international stage is just something that probably a lot of people predicted it would happen. I feel like Americans are not shocked anymore when this happens because, at the end of the day, he's not ashamed of embarrassing himself. He's asking for a global peace unity peace prize because he stopped 7 wars. And Magas are all clapping. At this point, there's no way you can detach violence and Maga. You saw what Stephen Miller said at the memorial, right? You saw what Trump said at the memorial, right? And I have not seen or heard any leftists or liberals doing this. So, That is the president of the United States of embarrassment. Second-hand embarrassment, I must say. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I think from me for today, that's it. Do love all of you, and I'll see you guys later. My name is Gracie. Till then, bye.